Well, Christian leaders are celebrating the return of an evangelical pastor detained in Turkey for the past 2 years. Most of that spent behind bars. Pastor Pastor Brunson walked free over the weekend, returned home to the U.S. and prayed with the president at the White House. Tony Perkins, commissioner of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom and president of the Family Research Council, flew back to the U.S. with Pastor Brunson. He joins us now. Great to have you with us, Tony.
Thanks, Shannon. Great to be with you.
You were with him in court.
I was.
Was there a time when you worried that he would not actually be free to get on that plane and make it back to U.S. soil?
Yes, absolutely. Thursday, when I arrived in country, I went to him and his wife, and his great fear was this was his fourth hearing, that he would be sent back to prison. And I took to him actually notes of encouragement from both the president and the vice president, because he was afraid we would forget him. And I assured him that was not the case, that he would not be forgotten. I talked to the president Monday night before I left. And so on Friday in the courtroom, after the whole day, and it looked like the case was falling apart as witnesses were retracting their previous statements, hearsay statements, by the way. Then the indictment was read, 45 minutes worth of like 62 pages, and at the end, the prosecutor asked that he be placed back in prison to face the 35 years. At that point, there was severe anxiety and fear that came across him. But they recessed, came back, and the court found him guilty of a lesser charge with 3 years, 1 month as the penalty, with time served being 2 years, 1 month. It left one year unaccounted for, but they removed the house arrest and the travel ban. It was at that point, working with the State Department, the charge that was there, we knew we had to get him out of the country because others have been released only to be rearrested. So there was a quick scramble back to Washington, to the State Department, to the White House, to get a military flight to get him out of the country, and it was quite an ordeal.
What was the moment like when you all, whether it was cleared Turkish airspace, touchdown in Germany, what was it like when you realized, and it set in for him, that finally this was over?
Well, it was a wild ride to the airport in the Chargé's caravan, motorcade, security. The media was intermixing with the security vehicles, a gauntlet of press trying to get into the airport to get to the plane. Once they're in the plane, there was a sense of, I saw both he and his wife began to relax a little bit, but they were watching the monitor on the plane that showed where we were, and it wasn't until we had crossed out of the Turkish airspace that they finally realized they were going home.
And Saturday it led to this moment at the White House, something I can't recall seeing before, but we want to show a little bit of what happened with the president and the pastor.
We would like to pray for you. We pray for you often.
Thank you.
As a family, my wife and I pray for you.
Thank you. Well, I need it probably more than anybody in this room. So that would be very nice. Thank you.
And they both went on to pray for him there.
We discussed
right there
that on the plane. They asked me, because I was helping them kind of go through what would be happening once we landed, and they said, we would really like to pray for the president. We pray for him. Can we pray for him? I said, this president would love for you to pray for him. And his wife said, you know, I want to lay hands on him. I've seen myself laying hands on his head and praying for him. I said, well, you can lay hands on him.
Service about that.
Well, I said, you know, don't mess up his hair, but you can pray. You can lay hands
right.
on him and pray for him. And they're remarkable people. They love this country. They love the Turkish people. Mm-hmm. There's no animosity in their heart toward the country, despite how they were treated. But it was an amazing thing to see how our government, this administration, the president, the vice president, secretary of state, would not let this go, and they worked to bring home an American. It sends a strong message around the world. Not only help for Pastor Brunson, but hope for the persecuted in every place.
And there are many still out there, and we'll follow those cases as well. Tony, thanks for stopping in.
Thanks, Shannon. Good to be with you.